All right, we will give everybody just a minute here. Oh, it's been a crazy month. Let me tell you, it's been a really crazy month. I'm having all kinds of issues already. Come on. How's y'all's month going? Let me see if I can get the chat to actually work today. Somebody mind sending something in the chat? I want to make sure this thing ain't gonna bite me in the butt like it did last time. I also have this new mic. Pretty confident it's coming through. It's worked pretty well so far. I got this like wireless setup. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how it's coming through. Like I said, we'll give everybody just a couple of minutes. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time. Anybody see anything interesting this month? Or has it just been kind of a weird month in general? I know it's definitely been for us. There we go. Just for confirmation, audio coming through. Everything nice and clear on y'all's end. Obviously not the video, but sweet. Thanks, guys. Okay, we'll get rolling. I know I've turned this into like an hours thing, the last couple of them. I'm going to try to see if I can shorten it down a little bit, not spend that much time actually on it. I didn't intend to spend that much time when I first started doing this. And let's see if I can actually accomplish getting that down today some. Anyway, yeah, it's been a crazy month. Obviously, there's been less videos. I'm sure that's probably noticed. A couple of reasons. One, just physical ability to get them out has been very challenging. Just given time between family stuff, work stuff. We had to close out the year. I mean, it's a lot of stuff happening. But kind of getting into some of the videos, I do want to start putting out a little bit better stuff. And what I mean by that is just give a little bit more time and attention to some finer details and really trying to put a better video package together so that it's just more enjoyable to watch. I feel like I've kind of fallen into a trap where I'm so focused on just trying to release a schedule, which was 2 days a week, that I just really started to kind of get very bland content compared to what I'd like it to be. And I'm a pretty analytical person to begin with, if you couldn't tell. So yeah, you might see, you're going to see less total content. My hope and goal is that it is better content that is maybe even does more for you in trying to teach and help and do some of these things. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, I may just have to hold this mic. I didn't wear the best shirt for this, apparently. I should have got an actual legit collar. That's all right. Anyway, on the video, guys, this is the best internet I can get where I'm at. I do apologize. I'm not going to be able to fix the video issues. Hopefully, I can maintain better quality audio. But just given where I live, the internet speed this is the best I can get to me available. So I do apologize for the lack of video quality in these, but hopefully you can forgive that. We do have Mr. Sterling has a question already, actually. We'll pause for that. Holden, could you show one day how you achieve your good vacuum numbers? Because I'm struggling. Yeah, you know, vacuums come down to just a couple of things done right, and you'll make a huge difference in your ability to pull them. I spent years really trying to perfect a vacuum technique that worked on the really big stuff that we do, and was still reasonable, right? So vacuum theory doesn't work the same as like a positive pressure theory, and that's one of the first things that you kind of have to understand. I'll try not to go too crazy into it, not that I even can. There are some videos out there on YouTube. I forget the guy's name and channel that he did it on, but does a very good job of explaining how vacuum pressure acts differently on a physics level than, like, say, a positive pressure device would, or flow, positive pressure flow. So you're not restricted by sizes of the tubes the same way you would be with a positive pressure. Anyway, the point is, if you get yourself the right machine that you can trust, my personal choice and use is a Untitled 8. And so I've really learned that machine in such a way that I know what it likes, I know how it wants to be used, and I can use it effectively in that way. So others make good ones too. As far as I'm aware, the one that Yellow Jacket makes is supposed to be pretty decent as well. But anyway, one of the critical things there is you need to have enough availability of flow. So where people get in trouble the most is you can have all these hoses, okay? You have all the hoses in the world you want on a vacuum pump, but if you don't have the available ports to support the CFM that pump is capable of, you'll never achieve it. So that's one thing I like about the Tez 8 is the Tez 8 has that half-inch port sticking up plus 2 3/8 stubbed out the side. And with that, it's an 8 CFM pump, but I'm able to actually completely utilize that full 8 CFM to pull a good vacuum while using half-inch hoses throughout my setup. You also want to make sure all those, the cores are removed as well. So those are the big things that I do on top of sealing everything with Nylog. So I seal the whole system with Nylog as I'm going, and then I don't have any cores, any ports, anything that's going to cause any form of restriction in that system. And I use a micron gauge that attaches somewhere else in the system. I don't like using inline gauges. I put it somewhere out of the way. And what I like about the Yellow Jacket, I forget the model number now, but the Yellow Jacket micron gauge I use it's a little sensor that threads on. What I like about that is it eliminates a lot of possibility for leaks, and it's a good enough quality sensor at the same time. So I know there's all kinds of them out there that do that. That Yellow Jacket's not the only one. It's just been my preference. It's what I've gotten used to, and so that's kind of the first step, is the right setup. The second step to that really makes a big difference is understanding how to read and know what is happening with your system as the vacuum is pulling. So what I mean by that is there's kind of stages as a vacuum pulls down that you can determine what stage of that pull you're in based off of how those microns are responding. So when you're getting a really fast pull down, say from 10,000 all the way down to 2,000, there's just a lot of just general gases that are getting pulled at that point, and it's really easy for a vacuum pump to capitalize on that pull down. When you start hitting down below that 2,000 micron barrier, that's when you'll see the initial really first slowdown start to happen. But as long as everything in that system is still fairly tight and clean, you'll still continue to pull at a steady rate down below 2,000. Now, if you've got a system that has had either refrigerant already in it prior, say the oil that's in there is latent with refrigerant. That's one of the number one issues most people fight, is the oil in the system becomes so refrigerant latent that whenever you pull it into a vacuum, that refrigerant begins to fractionate from the oil, and it really slows down a vacuum process. And so having the ability to understand that, so a perfect typical scenario is you may pull down to 1300 microns, and then all of a sudden you're pulling down, took you 10 minutes to get to 1300 microns, and then you just freeze and nothing happens after that, and you sit there for another 20 minutes and you might have gone to 1200 microns maybe. Well, if you had a tight system, you already did all the proper pressure testing, and you don't have leaks, it's very likely that if this was a system you did a repair on and you're trying to pull a vacuum to get it started back up, that's what you're fighting, is the refrigerant that's trapped in the oil throughout the system. And one real easy common test for that is you can walk up to a compressor and shake it and cause that oil to disturb. And when you do that, you'll look over at your micron gauge and you'll see that micron gauge take a spike. That is proof and evidence that you can do. That's an actual test that I do sometimes to try to see if we're fighting oil, or if we're fighting refrigerant in the oil, or if we're actually having some sort of issue, or maybe some moisture or something got in the system, or maybe the oil is not, maybe it has it got some kind of contaminant in it that's causing it to slow down right there. So really understanding what those micron readings mean as it's pulling down through the stages of a vacuum is kind of the second big part as to being successful with vacuums, in my experience, especially on big systems. That's how we take and we can get these 50, 60, 100-ton circuits and pull them into complete vacuums in a matter of hours. Is by applying these theories, these principles. If say I did the oil test and I kind of disturbed that oil and shook it around some, and I didn't really see much fluctuation, sometimes those vacuum pumps and the way that the vacuum theory works, it will just kind of get locked up, if you will. And that's where we start talking a triple evacuation opportunity. That's when doing a triple evac is actually going to benefit you, because by breaking that vacuum and allowing the system to re-pull into it, you can kind of help overcome some of those things that are in the system that's causing it to lock up on your micron gauge. Once you get down past 1,000 to 900 microns and you break that plane, you've broken past that critical final stage of where you're really going to hit those really big brick walls on most of your vacuums. Oh boy. Let me try to catch up on a couple of these. I just had a lot to say there, and I'm curious as to yeah, don't pull through a manifold. Yes, actually, Frylock, very much agree with you. Don't pull through manifolds. They will get you. That's right, Sterling. I remember now. Yeah, you did send me some emails. I'll be honest, I'm struggling to remember what they were offhand, or what we were discussing. I do, remember something vaguely about it. Connecting speed. I know that's good. Help you on vacuum. Huh. Okay. Okay. Like shaking a Dr. Pepper. I like that. Yeah. So, Sterling, if you don't have to literally. If I've got if I've got a large compressor that you literally aren't gonna walk up and shake, what you can do is you can go to where the oil reservoir is, and I'll take a mallet and I'll tap that reservoir, and the resonance from that from hitting the housing where the oil is enough uh, disturbance to cause the same effect. And that's typically what'll happen is you walk up a train RTAA is another prime example of that, right? So kind of an older series style train air cooled chiller. Anyway, they've got those big oil separators that look like big U's, right? You walk up with a mallet or something and tap on those during the vacuum process, and you'll see just an immediate spike. Um, maybe you may go up 3, 4, 500 microns in some cases, depending on how much and how hard you hit it. So, yeah, that's what I typically do in those scenarios where I don't have the ability to like shake it like you could do a scroll. Let's see. Can you talk about in general what equipment you work on? Yeah, sure. Vast majority of what I see is chillers to some degree, whether it be air cooled or centrifugal. So centrifugal side, work on a lot of like YKs. We had a YT, but it got decommissioned a while back, and it doesn't even exist anymore. It got tore out at this point. So yeah, we do also. Well, anyway, so York centrifugals, we see a ton of Train CVH series. Most of them are E or F series. Train centrifugals. Vast majority of the ones that we work on are less than 500 tons, given our customer base. But the video where I was working on those that VSD cabinet the other day, where I was going through and we ended up finding the motor that had shorted to ground and things. That was actually a 750, the 750 800 ton, something like that. So we're getting a little bit bigger stuff. It has been a goal of ours. Other than that, yeah, we work on all kinds of air cooled chillers. We have just your full gambit of types of RTUs, from just your standard 5 tons. We have on some buildings, just pick your brand, right? All the way up to, we have quite a few like Train and Telepack style, or the was it the Carrier 50N series? I think it's something like that on the RTU side. On the larger side of those. Now, most of the time, some of the biggest RTUs we would typically see and work on, where I'm at now, is somewhere between the 2 to 300 ton range. I think we've had some up to 400, but we don't. Again, we're a commercial real estate based company. We are working our way into more of an industrial market, but those really big, huge industrial systems, we've not currently made it to that point yet. We also do a lot of mechanical work, cooling towers, pumps, water source heat pumps are a dime a dozen, VRV systems, a lot of outside air systems with Aeons. It's a pretty wide range as a company. I work on everything listed above. I spend majority of my time helping on the chiller side, but and no, it's really just, it depends day to day. I literally could go from a 400 ton centrifugal in the morning, and I'm helping somebody with a 5 ton RTU that afternoon because they got stumped on something. You just never know. This vacuum pump valve leakage affected. JJ, I'm trying to vacuum pump valve leakage. To be honest, JJ, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Smart magnetic. Yes, I have worked on the smarts. we've actually got a bid out on some repairs on some right now. I mean, smarts are okay. Kind of find them hard to get support on, but they've got the turbo cores, so turbo cores are really nice. I do service those. It's one of my personal specialties is the turbo core side with Danfoss compressors. Really interesting pieces of technology. We have a site here, 3 compressors, and the staging and destaging causes leaving water temperatures from the plant to hunt. Huh? Yeah, that's a smart problem for sure. I think so. Super York. It still makes me chuckle every time I see that. Videos. Let's talk a little bit about some videos. So yeah, the boiler video. Boiler's been fine ever since. We've not had a single issue with it since that day. I could not identify. I'm pretty sure what happened was during the construction of that building and people playing with it and doing stuff just in general with that boiler. Just somebody caused it to trip out, or some power blip, or just something happened. I really don't know. But since that day, it's been running perfectly fine, and we've not had a problem since, and that was over a month ago. So, yeah, no, that was good. I do appreciate those who were providing some extra input on that boiler training video. I did tell y'all ahead of time that the purpose of that video was, one, to give that technician an opportunity to really kind of step into an instructor role and do the best he can to explain boilers on a very basic level. It was not intended to be an advanced level training or anything of that nature to any extent, and it also was hyper focused on our specific area, things that we see on a day-to-day basis in the boiler side and stuff. So it was not going to include anything that, or actually probably most things that a lot of people run into, especially further up north. We just don't see those things here, and we can't speak from experience at that point for sure, even myself on that. So for the couple of guys who did respond to some harsh comments that did kind of come through on that, I do appreciate it. I think Curtis did a great job for what he had in front of him. It's not an easy class to do, but I really appreciate the effort he put in. We do have a couple of more trainings coming up. I've got a really good cooling tower training that I'm working on doing an edit for now. I just haven't got it finished so I could post it yet. But be looking forward to that, because that was a very incredible training I had one of our technicians put on, and I actually learned a handful of things myself inside of that class. So, yeah, be looking for that video here pretty soon. I do plan to also do the shaft seal video. That is not off the table. I just haven't got to actually create it yet. I'm hoping, because right now I'm off today and I'm off tomorrow. Today's Thursday, yeah, for the New Year's and stuff. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to make some time in the next couple of days to actually break that shaft seal down and shoot something on it and try to put something together in the next few weeks. Yeah, that RTU, that carrier RTU with the condenser fan VFD issue, that was a really interesting one, honestly. That technician had spent quite a bit of the day prior really trying to dig into that, and I was trying my best to help him troubleshoot remotely, and it was really struggling. And right at the end of the day, prior to the day that I came out, that's when he noticed that the Motor Master had that, LCS alarm, which is loss of control signal. So, yeah, it was just, it was crazy. So, yeah, that one, the customer hasn't approved the repairs, last I was told, if I remember right. So I think we ended up leaving that circuit down. until it did get repaired, because it was just going to sit there and run in a low ambient state. And because of the low ambient, it kept pulling all the oil out of the compressors, which they would have lost a compressor by now if we hadn't shut that circuit down. So yeah, no, that was a pretty good one, honestly, and not your everyday scenario you're gonna walk up to. Let's see, chiller. The shaft seal. Shaft seal is actually kind of how should I say? We hope to get the chiller turned on Monday. So something we ran into, and it just happens, but the shaft seal itself went perfect. Everything on that set good, very confident with it. I'm not worried about the shaft seal. The problem we ran into was when we went to turn everything back on, the B RAM ended up popping and failing on the main control board, which these particular boards are the 2430 series, and it's a B generation, not the C or A. So that kind of added to some delays, and we had some issues with that. We actually did end up replacing the B RAM, and ended up now we've ran into some additional problems with the main board itself that it wasn't struggling with prior. So we're actually about to put Monday just a complete OptiView 2430 control kit in, and we're upgrading it to the C revision. But we'll have to we'll have to put the version B memory card in it, so that it actually knows that it's an older series. It's not one of the newer ones. Anyway, that was disappointing. So we were really expecting to have that turned on last week. And then when we started running into all those controls issues, that OptiView panel, it caught up to us pretty quick. Let's see. Let's breeze through some of these comments real quick. You see a lot of automated logic in your area? Yes. Actually, majority of our buildings are automated logic. We've got some sort of automation control in there to some extent, and it's another facet of our company is we have our own automation team that supports Tritium-based systems. So we're a rep for Distech specifically, and Honeywell. So we service a variety of different automation brands out there, but we specifically sell and install and provide our best service on Tritium-based systems. What's up, buddy? I appreciate your work. Yes, sir. Thank you, creative tradesman. You work on any evaporating condensers? We had a system. We had some buildings that we did something like that on. It wasn't a factory thing. It was an aftermarket thing. But other than that, the closest thing, I mean, if you want to consider a cooling tower an evaporative condenser, I mean, no, but typically no. We don't have any evaporative style condensers. Well, JJ, hurry up with your puppy. He's got to pee. You recommend someone who's completely burnt out in the field to get into field supervisory and middle management? Burnout's a hard thing. I've played and been plagued by burnout for a lot of my career. It's really. I'm actually kind of surprised I'm finding that hard of a time saying something about it. you got to find the thing you really enjoy working on. Uh, that's been the things that has kept me from going over that edge. And there are times and cases, and there's a lot of companies, I've worked for them, that they do end up having you just stuck on too much of the same stuff every single day, all the time. And for some people that's great. For some of us it's not. I'm one of the people that's not. I really require just a unknown variety, to just kind of keep myself challenged in that way. So that's where, just that's part of what's driven my career path and growth and different things, was always trying to find that next more interesting thing that was going to challenge me in a way that I hadn't been challenged yet, to keep me moving and going and focused on that, on top of just trying to provide a better future for my family. And those things have really kept me from just complete burnout entirely. And so I don't know what your situation is, but if you're really struggling with burnout, I don't know that management is the solution, unless that is maybe the next frontier for you. It's been one of them for me. I've been working my way up management for a few years now, and yeah, it has. It turned into kind of the next career frontier for myself, if you will. That's kept me ahead of that burnout edge. Um, but for most people, I don't think that's the answer. Management is not fun. I'll tell you that. It's. I know a lot of people think that that's the end place to be, and the bee's knees and everything. I can tell you from experience, you have a lot more fun in the field, and it's not near as stressful. Not near as stressful. I don't regret going into management. I don't regret what I do, because I really work to provide a environment and a place for people to really grow and develop, and they can have a life for their family that they want to have, and I want to help them provide that. So those are the drives, those are the things that really push me, and why I put so much effort into being a good manager in that way. But it's not fun. There's a lot of conversations you never want to have that you have to have. Anyway, I wish I had a better answer. I feel like I'm kind of getting a little scrambled with it, but um, try to find something that you haven't challenged yourself with. I don't know. If you don't work on chillers, or maybe I don't know what side of the industry you're on, but maybe switching up. Maybe if you're doing residential, try your hand at low temp refrigeration or something, or try to get into heavy commercial, or just something. That would be my suggestion personally. Curious to know, do you calibrate the EV's suction temp sensors using a K-type thermocouple? As that's the only way I do, because the suction pipes are too big in diameter. Honestly, so if depends how accurate I'm trying to be, Sterling. Inevitably, the suggestion I'm going to give is the ice water test is going to be your best test, in my opinion. But I usually make sure I'm within 2 degrees of calibration. So as long as I'm no more than 2 degrees out, plus or minus, from putting another probe on there. So sometimes what I'll do is, if I don't use a thermocouple, I'll take one of my just regular thermometers, and I'll stab that through the insulation and let the tip of it, where the temperature sensor actually is. You have to understand that as part of your device. It's in the very tip of those probes. I'll touch that to the pipe and let it sit there and stabilize and see how that compares to the actual thermistor temp, and make sure that I'm within that tolerance. But I'm not going to go as far as actually, like, if I've got a sensor on a chiller that's outside of that, I'm not going to try to to calibrate it. Actually, I'm just going to recommend replacement on it. And most of those sensors have gotten cheap enough nowadays. And well, I say that. Yeah, I think you mentioned earlier it's kind of hard to get some stuff in your area, but I go for just replacement personally. I choose not to. If it's going to get to the point where you have to calibrate it because it's got out of calibration, it's only going to continue to do that at an escalating rate. And so it's not worth it to me to like try to calibrate that back in. You know the guys at Refrigeration? I don't actually, Noah. I've seen, man, I forget his name. He was on HVAC Overtime podcast a few episodes back now. Where is it Trent? I think his name may have been Trent. So he seemed like a pretty interesting guy. Had a lot of really cool stuff to say. So, but no, I don't know them personally. Texas is all about cooling. Do you see absorption chillers there? Chiller plants are popular in our area. Train no longer makes absorbers. They use Thermex for that solution. Yeah, we don't have. I don't know that a single absorption chiller exists in my area. I've never seen one in person. Only studied them and can kind of explain them somewhat on a very crude level. But no, we do not have absorption chillers. If we did, it would be on some really crazy industrial application that next to nobody's going to be working on. Been burnt out last summer. He and the dad's business, but now good. Our first baby on the way with my fiance. Congratulations, for sure. And my mood's changed completely. Yeah. No, having kids definitely helped me. Just again, it comes back to having that thing that's going to push and challenge you, and you're not going to just kind of get stuck in that rut with that just the same never-ending process every day. I was definitely not built for that. Brett, that was his name, Brett. That's somewhat sounds like Trent. Give me that. Okay, let's talk a couple more videos here. The service truck. Yeah, pretty cool truck, actually. I like this truck. I like it quite a bit. And I like it better than my old one. The cab's the same. What I like better about it is the bed. It's got a much better bed layout, and it just functions a lot better. I like the fact that it's keyed to my truck key. I don't have to have a separate set of keys just for my toolboxes. That's nice. Hope y'all enjoyed that truck video. I tried to keep it to the point as I could without just a bunch of random rambling, which I'm really good at. Let's see. Hey, Chris. HVACR videos is on the stream. Thanks for joining. Happy New Year to you too as well, bud. Let's see. The YK overview. So I finally, man, I've been promising that video for a year now. Finally was able to put that YK overview together. And I'm like I said in the video, that is strictly just a mechanical base overview of that centrifugal chiller. I will be doing, hopefully not another year from now, but I will be doing a OptiView panel overview at some point in the near future. Hopefully that's my goal. Kind of going through all the base parameters and things you can troubleshoot and how to use the different menu screens and some of the deeper accesses and just what all the intricacies that go into the OptiView control system. It is its own entire thing. And when you go to some of those chiller trainings, like for example, when I went to New Freedom and got certified in overhauls on those York YKs, we had an entire day of strictly learning how to use, navigate, and and adjust. There we go. That's the word. The OptiView control panel. Just one day on that by itself in a week's worth of teaching. So that just kind of paints you a picture. And we actually had a live, trainers that we could stand in front of and use and manipulate with dials and all kinds of stuff to simulate different fault conditions and stuff with those panels. There's a lot that goes into them. So that will be a video in and of itself. But I think that one turned out pretty good in terms of a mechanical overview for just a basic YK. Let me get back here. Thanks for that. Be safe. If I use that type of truck over, my tools will be gutted. That's funny. Yeah, we've had a couple of technicians get their stuff broken into here in the last couple of years. It's crazy some of the stuff people go through to try to break into something. I actually had somebody with the old tool bed that I had put a crowbar up under one of my doors and peel it up to try to get to some of my tools and stuff. And they did actually end up stealing my a cobalt socket set that my grandfather got me when I was 16, and I'd been using it ever since then. Even throughout my HVAC career. And so yeah, they did get they stole that out of that box. That was upsetting. And to kind of touch on that, I used to be a heavy set van person. I was all about a van, and I preferred that. And in a lot of ways, there's still a lot of things I prefer in a van over a truck. But if I was going to have to use a truck, this is the truck I'd want to use without a doubt. Yeah, it's been a good machine for sure. The Sparks. Website. If you don't know, the website is HVactimetx.com. Right now it is strictly just a merch store, and we'll get a quick thing going here now that we've got some chat rolling. What are some interesting things that you would actually care to see done with that website? So like I said, and I did a little video on it the other day, but I strictly launched a store with it just to get it off the ground and to get it out there. Now, granted, that took me forever because of all the logistics and trying to get the hats and the shirts and all the different stuff that's in there figured out. But now that I've got it there and it's functioning, I really want to try to do more with it long term. And I've had several ideas myself, but I'm really curious to hear your thoughts as to what would you like to see done with HVACtime.com or HVactimetx.com. I've had thoughts of doing like creating some tech manuals or like troubleshooting guides that I recommend for different types of equipment, maybe how I go through different processes, or, doing some form of blog type setup, or, let's see, having maybe different types of manuals, like having some actual manufacturer manuals uploaded in there to where you have some sort of online library you could go to and get access to those for different types of equipment. So I've thought of all these different things that I could do with it. I've also had ideas of creating some sort of personalized training program at some point where you could sign up and I could tailor classes and training material and things to individuals to just try to help you grow in whatever way it is you're seeking to grow. And if you're working for a company that won't train you, maybe I can help facilitate that somehow to help you continue making steps in your career. So these are all thoughts I've had as to what I could do with the website, but I'm very, very interested to hear what you would actually like to use the website for. I can create all this stuff, but if you don't actually want to use it for that, um, what's the point on my end sometimes? So just thoughts. If you have a quick thought, please dump it in the comments. You also feel free to send me an email on it. Granted, I'm very behind on emails right now, as well as responding to comments on videos. I'm hoping at the end of this week I can catch up on both. We'll see. Had a van broken into 10 years ago. They popped my lock out the door, took over $10K worth of stuff. Yeah. It doesn't take long. Once they get those doors open, they're fast as lightning. Start with just a repository of all useful websites. Huh. That's an idea. Yep, that is a definite idea. And hydronics approach, everything water specific on the website. Okay. Nope, those are definitely some good ideas. All right, last video. We'll try to get this closed up. I'm not even sure how long we've been going now. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, well, hopefully we'll keep it less than an hour then. I was trying to make it more like 30 minutes, but whatever. Sparks flu. Yeah. I said a lot of it in the video for the VSD video. We're still trying to get all the final pricing. I'll kind of give you an example. That motor rebuild by itself, just the motor. And we're not talking a new motor. We're talking, I'm going to take that. So it's a 554 horse motor. I'm going to take that motor and send it into a motor shop and have it completely rebuilt, rewound, whole 9 yards. Shaft grounding added to it. You're talking $18,000 for just that. That kind of gives you some perspective of the kind of money I'm talking about. And that's just the motor. That doesn't include all the labor and repairs and all the other things that are going to go into what it's going to take to get that system back online. That's and that's the repair shop's cost. That doesn't include the cost for us to get it to the shop, get it back, and anything else they come across if they have any issues. So you're talking very serious money, and this is why I was referring to in the video. This is not a scenario where you want to start cutting corners. This is not a scenario where you really need to guide the customer when you start having these large failures to do all the right steps, because one wrong step in this could make that $20,000 motor rebuild for nothing in 6 months, quite literally. I mean, in 6 months' time, it could fail again if we don't do something right, if we don't replace all those power banks inside of that VSD cabinet or anything of that nature. If we try to cut any of those corners, it's for nothing, absolutely for nothing. So, that's kind of give you some idea. We're working on getting all the pricing and everything else figured out, and it's not going to be cheap, obviously, but it kind of give you a reference as to what kind of money we're really talking about here. Okay. I think that'll wrap this up here. That'll be our December discussion touch base. Thankfully, no mic issues this time, at least. I think I've been pretty happy with these mics. Yeah, they've done well. I hope y'all enjoy the videos, enjoy your new year, and it's gonna be a lot for 2022. There's a lot ahead of what I've got to try to accomplish for 2022. So it's going to be, I don't know, even for me personally, it's going to be kind of another crazy year. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. But anyway, if you have any final questions, now's a good time to get them plugged into the chat. Otherwise, we're going to be signing out of here pretty quick, guys. I appreciate all of y'all, and I do really mean that. This channel, we're at almost 700. What am I saying? Almost just shy of 8,000 now subscribers. I mean, it's it's just crazy to kind of sit back and watch everything roll out. So I really appreciate all the time and the word of mouth and the interaction and y'all watching the videos and liking them and commenting and really interacting and being a part of the community really does play a lot for like YouTube and wanting to grow the channel itself, more than just me wanting it to grow. As y'all become more interactive with it, it wants it to grow. So that it just has more people entertained on there as far as they're concerned. So I really appreciate all that support, guys. I know some of you guys I see in the chat, y'all have been with me for quite a while. I've seen y'all floating around for some time. So again, appreciate it, and y'all have a good one. We'll close it out.